Could the NHL actually end up sending its players to the next Winter Olympics? There seems to be a lot of movement and the potential negotiations to make it happen. We'll get you all updated coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, wouldn't it be nice to see the NHL players end up participating in the next Winter Olympics? I know the last Winter Olympics without NHL participation just wasn't quite the same. I know the hockey wasn't quite the same level, and I know for a lot of people at least, the level of interest that they had in that tournament was not the same as in past years, as we've gotten used to having the actual best on best in the world with NHL participation for quite a long period of time. Now, as reported on Saturday headlines by Elliot Friedman on Hockey Night in Canada, and as well as other media outlets, including TSN here, in the last couple of days, there seems to be some major concessions by the Olympic Committee to try to lure the NHL players back. Today I want to take a look at a couple different articles and information from Twitter indicating what those items are and what it might take to get an agreement in place to send the players back. Now, first of all, I want to kick things off and taking a look at a couple of snippets of an article from The Athletic written by Pierre Lebrun. Now, of course, The Athletic is a paid subscription, so I'll caution you that. I will link it down below in the description, but you won't be able to read the full article without a paid subscription. I'm only sharing a little bit of this article. There is much more to this than what you're going to see here today, but essentially we're going to get the gist of it and see what's going on. The article kicks things off and saying the International Olympic Committee made overtures to welcome the NHL players back into the fold. Yes, it's pretty exciting stuff, NHLPA executive Matthew Schneider told The Athletic on Sunday. I'm not sure if I would say it surprised us, but we were happy with the meeting. There's no question about it. It was a really positive meeting. It was really good gesture on the IOC's part. Specifically, the IOC is willing to cover the very cost it said ahead of the 2018 Olympics that it would no longer include, such a player's insurance and travel costs, etc. Yes, certainly in all the costs, the other big issue is us being able to promote the fact that our guys are over there, Schneider said. And that's something else that we're going to work towards addressing, and the IOC has signaled that they're open to it. I think the word that they are used several times in formatting a true partnership amongst the NHL players and the IOC, which is music to our ears. And this is where the process bogs down potentially. Some believe the NHL will want some form of give back in CBA extension talks to sign off on Beijing player participation. But the NHLPA doesn't get why the players should have to give anything back in exchange for doing what's right for the sport, for taking part in such obvious opportunity on such a huge stage in China. You hit on a very good point there, Schneider said. This is why the NHLPA signed off on the NHL exhibition games that were held in China in 2017 and 2018. The players agreed with the league that there was a great opportunity in that vast market. The NHL and NHLPA were to meet again on Monday ahead of resuming full-fledged CBA extension talks on Tuesday in Toronto. And I should add that Schneider talked about how positive the atmosphere in those CBA extension talks have been over the past year, devoid of the kind of vitriol that we've seen in the past. Hopefully that can transcend to the Olympic decision. At least from the IIHF and NHLPA perspectives, there is urgency on the Beijing front. Both of those bodies want an answer from the NHL within the next several months. Well, listen, I think for everybody, the sooner we come to a decision, the better, Schneider said. There's no question about that. So, of course, this article was written on Sunday. We've since had a couple more days of meetings, and then this information came out today from Bob McKenzie via Twitter. McKenzie reports that the NHL and NHLPA resumed CBA extension negotiations yesterday in Toronto, and the two sides will meet again today. The existing CBA ensures labor peace for this season and two more to September of 2022. The league and players are trying to negotiate a 4-year extension through 2026. So clearly, Olympic participation is a big bone of contention for the players in the CBA talks, but as they mentioned here, they don't quite understand from the owners why it's such a big piece for them to have this worked out now when the technical agreement that's in place now for the CBA takes us past where the next Olympics would take place. They could go to those Olympics, in their opinion, and then iron out future considerations on future Olympics beyond that in the next CBA. But the owners kind of want some kind of reassurance here from the players that they can get a CBA extension in place in order to allow them to go. Clearly, the owners hold a major stake here. These players are contracted to play for these teams, and we've seen on several situations before in international competition when players have gone over to the Olympics or the World Cup or any international tournament and been injured and having a big impact on their future in the NHL or the potential current NHL season. The NHL and Gary Bettman have also outlined another one of their big concerns and big issues is that they have to shut down the season for a number of weeks right in the middle of the year in order to participate in these Olympic Games, and that's another one of their concerns as well. Obviously, when they had Olympics in the past, there was no All-Star game that year, which I know is a varying level of opinion here amongst the hockey community. I think the All-Star game is a cool event if you're able to go in person, but from a outsider perspective watching on TV, I think for many it's kind of lost its appeal over the years, and it's just not quite the same experience in person versus watching on television, and many argue that needs to be reformatted anyway. So at the least of most people's concerns is whether or not there be an All-Star game that season. But clearly the owners want an extension in talks, which would be great for labor peace. They can get a 4-year extension in place, and then we can be assured for like another 6 or 7 years of not having a lockout. That would be great for the sport. But I do think the players make a lot of great points here as well. The reason that they've been going over to China for exhibition games and the players were for it is to try to grow the sport in that market. It's such a big opportunity to grow the sport of hockey, for the NHL to make ground there. And clearly with the next Olympics being held in that country, there's a major opportunity to sell the game. And if a lot of the other issues that were present before with the Olympic Committee are going to be able to be overcome, then it really boils down to the CBA. I mean, ultimately, I'd love to see the players go, and if we can hammer out a CBA extension to make it happen, that would be great for the sport here as well. But there are other issues, like I said, on the forefront here besides just Olympic participation. I know escrow is a big problem for the players. Of course, there's revenue splitting. There's lots of other things too that need to be hammered out. At least it's being reported the negotiations are, very amicable right now. Things are going well. The atmosphere in the meetings are very positive, and there's lots of good talk coming out of the meetings, which is a great sign. I know in the past there's always been lots of concern over these kind of talks because we've had lockouts before, which is really bad for the sport, bad for the fans, bad for the players. It's really bad for everybody involved. So we can avoid that. It would be fantastic. And if we can get the best on best back in the Olympics, would be perfect overall here. It'd be great to have a long-term international calendar of events to look forward to between the Olympics and having maybe a World Cup every so many years as well. I thought we would have an international competition to look forward to every couple of years. It'd be such a shame to see players like Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon, for example, for Team Canada, never get to don the sweater, or Austin Matthews and Jack Eichel, for example, not to put on the USA sweater and so on. Some of the best players the NHL has ever seen, some of the best in the world, and it would only be fair, I think, for them to have an opportunity to put on their country sweater and really go head-to-head in a best-on-best competition on the international stage. So let me know your thoughts on this topic. Are we getting close to having the NHL players return to the Olympics, and will it result in a CBA extension, which is going to give us labor peace for at least 6 or 7 more years, so we can all stop sweating about a potential lockout here in the near future? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.